Hi, hello, and welcome back to my podcast. It's not personal, you're just doing it wrong. So exciting to say welcome back. This is episode 2. First time I'm able to say welcome back. Today, we are going to be talking about how the iconic phrase, just saying, is responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. But first, let's talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County. Hi, hello, and welcome back to my podcast. Welcome back. If this is your first time listening, no need to go back to the first one. Some apologies are in order. That probably should have been called the prologue. I don't think that needed to be episode 1. It was quite rambly, but, I kind of had to lay some groundwork and, let you guys know what was going on. So that's that. Did I set my timer? I didn't. Okay, now we're going. Now we're cranking. We're on a time limit today. Somebody else has this room in about an hour, so we gotta jam through this. And I have something to say today. I'm really excited about what I have to say today, actually. I have to be honest, because this is kind of like my first prophecy, my first pop culture prophet moment in action. Firstly, though, I want to talk about all the updates. I'm so excited to see everyone's support for the podcast and support for the stream. I had my first stream last week. And then in a couple days here, I'm going to be doing my second stream, baking some pumpkin spice cinnamon rolls and playing some Pokemon. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on. I'm having the time of my life, and y'all's support means the world. I'm so glad you're enjoying watching. Okay, so before we can dive into such a loaded accusation, we need to take it another step back further. Yes, I do believe that the Real Housewives of Orange County and Charlie Kirk should be in the same sentence. I'm not making light of this man's death. I definitely don't think murder is ever the way to go. Violence is not the answer. But yes, we need to get some context so you guys can kind of get on the same page as me so we can know where we're going. So before we even talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County, I want to talk about cults because I love them. Not really, but they're insane. They're insane. Because we're going to talk about a disgusting man that was on the Real Housewives of Orange County. But before I want to do that, I want to just kind of talk about disgusting men in general because that's kind of the theme here. So we're going to talk about cults. Keith Raniere, Marshall Applewhite, Heaven's Gate cult, Charles Manson, the Manson family murders, Jim Jones, the People's Temple, he's the Kool-Aid Man. What did all of these have in common? They were highly insecure men that, weaponized religion to get their own selfish things done, achieved. And they often leverage sex. I'm not going to say that all cults are sex rings and human trafficking and all of that stuff. But there definitely, is a connection to these hyper-religious cults, sex, power dynamics, often men placed way higher. Yeah, pretty much anyone that was expressing or anyone that was experiencing loss, stress, disillusionment in their current life or reality could be considered amazing prospects for cults, right? We know this after seeing so many. That's typically how folks wind up where they are. And, we could go even farther back to colonialism. Historically, men have preyed on the weak. And I'm not trying to make this as a read. I'm talking animalistically, primally, when we needed to survive, Darwinism, survival of the fittest, that is something that is embedded in our nature. However, it is 2025, and as much as it feels like it's Hunger Games out here and we're all fighting for survival, I don't feel like we are in the same position as we were in. I think that's safe to assume, right? So this episode is not about cults, but I do want to just kind of highlight how men enjoy maybe using religion as a mask to kind of get their more perverted agendas achieved. So leads us to a man by the name of Brooks Ayers. Okay, now we're getting into the housewives of it all. So the quick spark notes for it all, for those of you who have not watched The Real Housewives of Orange County. Oh no, we're talking about Just Saying. Okay, so picture this. We're going back to like 2012, and there was the phrase "just saying" running rampant throughout the world. I can remember my friends, just saying, he's really not that into you, or just saying that outfit like makes you look really dumb, or just saying you were like really fucked up last night and acted a fool. Formerly known as no offense, but. We all know this. No offense, but insert wildly offensive phrase here, correct? Okay, cool. So as a society, we are obsessed with sharing our opinion. We just really want to just say whatever is coming to mind, right? Isn't that essentially what the phrase "just saying" is? Just saying. Oh, that thought just popped in my head. Just saying. If you don't like the way that you look in those jeans, then maybe you should hit the gym. Just saying. Like, yes, here we are. We're all traumatized by it. So what else was happening at this time? 2014. It was the season finale, the reunion episode of season 9 of Real Housewives of Orange County. And the highlight of that reunion is these two women, Vicki Gunvalson and Tamra Judge, are kind of BFFs throughout the seasons. I think Tamra joined season 2. I think Vicki's an OG, season 1 of the franchise. So these girls have been thick as thieves. Two of the Tres Amigas are tiffing. They're beefing, and they're beefing over, guess who? A man. And the reason why I bring up the cults now, or before, and here's why, is because it was very similar situation to when you watch these cult documentaries and there's a parent whose child gets stuck in a cult or wrapped up in a cult. And, they don't really believe that they are in one of these situations. Typically, they are there at their own will. No one is really actually being held hostage. That's the tricky part about these things. Cult members want to be in these cults. So it is hard to shake them and be like, hello, you're in a cult. I just learned about a cult. Like, there's a whole, like, the rave scene is like even getting really culty right now. I was talking to somebody who's like really into raves, and when you think about it, yeah, there's always a next step. There's always like an outfit. You need to look a certain way at these raves. Diet, exercise, clothes, the ticket itself to attend. Like, this is something that exists in our culture every single day, and I don't think we recognize it as a cult. But anyhow, so Tamra Judge was trying to shake Vicki out of this cult-like relationship. Brooks Ayers had this ridiculous grasp on Vicki. And this guy was bad news. Like, he was lying about having cancer. But Vicki is got her rose-covered glasses on. She's in love with this man. He's so special. Mind you, this man it's not just like, oh, I don't think he's right for you. Like, this man is lying about having cancer, accepting money and donations for cancer treatment and research that he does not have. He suggested to Vicki's daughter's husband, maybe fiance at that time, when they have their issues, that the husband should just try slapping the wife a few times. And maybe then she'll listen. He even made jokes to Vicki's daughter about the size of his penis and offered to show it. I think he even had like a nickname for it. Did I write it down? No, because it's disgusting and irrelevant. So this man is foul. Bad news bears. And Tamra was so upset and you could see the writing on the walls. This guy was bad news, and you do not want your friend around this person. But because none of these accused, alleged things on Brooks were witnessed by Vicky, she's willing to turn the blind eye because this is the man that she loves and the man that she's willing to stand by. It sounds a lot like a cult. And then cue easily the most iconic moments in reality TV history is the iconic, "That's my opinion!" scream from Tamra. Because Tamra didn't have facts. Tamra could not prove that this man was faking cancer. Tamra could not prove that this man said these disgusting things to Vicky's daughter. So all she could do was just be like, "Oh, that's my opinion," and screamed it at the top of her lungs. That clip took off like wildfire. It was memed. There was song remixes about it. They put the Facebook filter, or not Facebook, Snapchat filter on her, distorting her voice and her face, so it was really funny. And while yes, I was laughing as well, what this kind of did was desensitize America to this rage and this passion that is felt amongst women everywhere, that are constantly being taken advantage of, duped, and manipulated by men. And because this man turned out to be such a disgusting, deplorable human being, this loud and proud, "That's my opinion, I need to share my opinion," was celebrated and envied and was looked up to by a lot of women watching this show. I'm getting cotton mouth. Okay, so who watches these shows, right? Like, the Real Housewives franchises are predominantly watched by white women. I don't have the statistic. I don't have the breakdown, but I think it's safe to say that white women enjoy watching Housewives. As a white woman myself, as I identify as a housewife fanatic, I've watched every single episode. And I can tell you the people that I talk to about this show are white women. So we have this amazing pride in their hero, Tamra Judge, who stood up to Brooks and stood up to Vicky and for what's right, and she shared her opinion. This is 2014, mind you. So what does this momentum bring us? This brings us to 2016, 2015 maybe. Millions of white women all across Facebook sharing their opinion with their fucking chest, whether it's vaccinations or homeschooling or how they feel about the current administration and how they feel like a woman isn't ready to be president. That's just her opinion. It's just her opinion. She's sharing her opinion. Well, when enough people share their opinion, collectively as a people, what do we kind of take it as fact. And so we got into this weird situation in 2016 where we had so much misinformation flooding social media, and no one was batting an eye at it because, well, I'm just sharing my opinion. At the end of the day, this is free speech, and I'm just sharing my opinion. But no one is thinking about how damaging just sharing their opinion can be. Because the one fact I did take the time to write down is that in 2016, 61% of white, non-college educated women voted for Trump. This is the largest margin of victory in his 2016 election, was within white, non-educated female voters. And then we have 2016. We've seen the clips. We've seen the rallies of these women hot for Trump. They're out there talking about measles. They're talking about, I'm jumping in time here now because we're still in 2016, but Tylenol leading to autism, circumcisions leading to autism. These are just opinions. These are not facts. But somehow, and I blame Tamra indirectly, I blame Tamra for this wild, fiery, vehement need to share their opinions. Now we have a president who is running the free world. It's 2016 for the first time. We've never seen this before. We have a president, Donald Trump, running the free nation, just spitting opinions and forming policy just based off his opinion. And who was it? Who was the idiot with trickle-down economics? Well, I'm citing here trickle-down opinions. What happens when you have when somebody at the very, very top gets to just say whatever the fuck they want? Why would their constituents be held to anything differently? These are the people who voted for him. They like that about them. They want to continue to get to talk out of their assholes. Then we have COVID. Now we're all stuck inside just with our own thoughts. It becomes an echo chamber. It becomes a vacuum of just hearing yourself talk and hearing your own opinions over and over and over again. You are what you think. Okay, let's not forget that. You are what you think. That's not a foreign concept. You are what you think, right? That's not a foreign concept. So if you were just sitting at home alone in quarantine, literally watching just the collapse of what? Democracy, humankind as we know it, civilization, you start hearing and thinking those opinions and thoughts, and pretty soon we've got all these armchair presidents of how they would be doing things and how they would be handling the global pandemic. And with all due, I don't give a fuck how you think we should be handling the pandemic. But thanks to social media, we get to write novels on our Facebook statuses. Instagram stories can now be 10 minutes long so people can just go on their rambling way talking about who knows what and the side effects. I don't even remember. What were they even saying the side effects of the vaccine were going to be for COVID when people were trying to get your COVID shots and your boosters? Now it's 2024. Kamala Harris is running against Donald Trump. Donald Trump is running for president for the second time. He gets up there and shares, I already said it last episode, I'm obsessed with it. It's going to go down in history, in my history book, eating the dogs, eating the cats. I can't imagine what kind of backlash I would receive at work or within my friend group or anywhere that I went, where if I made such a disgusting comment, anyone would allow me to let that sit. There would be immediately, what the hell are you talking about? That's so racist. But the president or the presidential candidate does it, and it wins him the ticket. It wins him the office. That is absolutely insane. So now for the second time, we have seen somebody just say whatever it is that came to the front of their head, and they are getting arguably the highest possible amount of success. Yes, there's more important jobs in this world than the president of the United States, obviously. Hello. But what I'm trying to say is, okay, I'm doing great on time. Hello. But what I'm trying to say is, I guess, there's no more powerful man in America or woman. That was close. There's no more powerful position, allegedly, I guess is what I'm trying to freaking spit out. And he gets to say whatever he wants, not fact-checked, gets to say that he's the same build, his last physical, he was the same height and weight as Patrick Mahomes. He's a liar. We know this. He just says whatever the hell he wants. That's my opinion. I feel like I look like Patrick Mahomes. That's my opinion. I can share whatever I want. It's my opinion. You don't get to have an opinion on medical records. So then it's just amplified. The same cycle repeats. People start sharing whatever the hell they want. We kind of had a moment of reprieve with Biden, but then even the Democrats got involved. Then we were too deep because now all the Democrats are sharing their opinions about how Biden's too old, which, by the way, he was. But then we went and voted. Like, Donald Trump is the oldest president to ever sit office. So how is that any better? It blows my mind. So now all cycles over again. Everyone is just sharing whatever. We are in the middle of the most insane economic crisis that we've ever seen. And so everyone is like desperately asking for work. Somebody I saw on my Instagram story sharing graphic's the wrong word, but just hyper detailed accounts of her miscarriage. Yes, freedom of speech exists. Yes, people are allowed to go through things. Your feelings are valid, but like, you're sharing your opinion wrong. I'm sorry, you were sharing your opinion wrong. Like, you have a journal. And so now you see websites or YouTube channels like Jubilee jumping on and like having their own spirited political debates with extremists, which like is again this weird pseudo way of just sharing your opinion. Like none of these people sitting around this table are qualified, have studied this, have come to the table with any facts other than just the shared opinions of somebody else or somebody else's podcast that they heard, right? Like, I just don't understand, like, how we didn't see what happened 2016 and then 12 years later, 8 years later. So now Charlie Kirk exists. And he gets to go on tours and share whatever the hell is his opinion and whatever feels right to him because that's his opinion and that's what's protected under his First Amendment right. Like, what are you guys all mad about? Like, everyone is so angry. Like, we're sitting here with, like, full Republican control in the Congress, in the House, the president, and yet everyone on the right is still so upset and going on these tirades. It sounds a lot like a cult. Because what was Charlie Kirk doing when he got shot? He was speaking at a community college, Utah Valley University. Utah Valley University is for students who wanted to go to BYU, but they didn't quite follow all the rules. They maybe didn't go to their seminary class. Maybe it was academic. Maybe their grades weren't good enough, but they weren't quite good enough to get into BYU. What did we say at the top of the episode? The perfect candidate for a cult is somebody who has some type of disillusionment, stress, loss, grievance in their life. Every single person going to Utah Valley University is a shame to their Mormon family. So here is some extremist Christian personality, that's being generous, podcaster, pain in my ass person, decides to go to this campus with all of these vulnerable people and just share his opinion. And look what fucking happened. Somebody didn't like what he had to say and shot him dead. And I don't get it. Like, why were we all so obsessed with him? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think that man deserved to die. But am I happy he's dead? Sure. He was a cancer to society. I don't care that he was a husband. I don't care that he was a father. I can promise you, those damn kids hated him. Those damn kids hated him. They are much better off without their father. I can promise you that. Can we not look at the other side of the coin? Do we not think that it was the gunman's opinion that Charlie should die? That's just his opinion. What's so wrong about that? That he decided to act upon it? That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing. I've always been a monkey see, monkey do person. That is, those are the leaders I look up to, or the leaders who lead by example. That is how I learn, is from example. If you're not willing to set a good example for the members, for the people of your country, then what are you doing leading it? Like, How is this a foreign concept? How is this so tough to get through people's heads? Too many of you people are walking around sharing your opinion with your full fucking chest, not worried about the repercussions. When I was growing up, I had to watch what I said on the playground. Otherwise, I was going to get popped. People are walking around these days just sharing their opinions like it's fact, like whatever repercussions come to the person is no fault of their own because they were just sharing their opinion. We see Karens walking their dogs, calling the cops on people because they felt unsafe to walk their dog. Oh, but that was my opinion. That was how I felt. I don't give a shit how you feel, Karen. Keep that shit to yourself and write it in your journal. You don't need to post it publicly on your Facebook wall. You should be go telling your husband about it, but he can't fucking stand your ass, so you've got nobody to talk to. That's the real problem, is you have no one left to share your opinions with. So you choose instead to choose strangers on the internet to form some kind of pseudo community to try to, what? Make you feel better? So now let's connect it all. No offense to just saying, to that's my opinion, to all illegal immigrants are rapists and murderers, to don't get the vaccine because it'll give you autism, to you're eating the dogs, you're eating the cats, to then somebody asking Charlie a question about gun violence and he says, including or not including gang violence. He couldn't even finish the snarky little dagger that he wanted to give before he bled out like an untied water balloon. And that is everywhere for the world to see. Maybe it's not that important to share your opinion. Maybe you're missing the whole point of the First Amendment. The point of the First Amendment is so no one can just say, you can't say that. However, if you don't want people to react a certain way to how you say something, maybe don't say it at all. It's not personal. You're just sharing your opinion wrong.